Hello and welcome back to Call The Midwife. We are three super fans and each week we watch an episode and chat about it. This week we are watching and discussing Series 5, Episode 7. I'm Becky.
I'm Alex.
I'm Jen. A reminder that this week's episode deals with postnatal illness and contraceptive issues, so if those are ones you prefer to skip this time, we understand and hope you join us for the next one. In this week's episode, we meet two expectant mothers, Gina Maitland and Marguerite Blacker. Gina lives in a new tower block of apartments with all the modern amenities. She and her husband Leslie are expecting their first child together. Marguerite and her family are barges, a member of the gypsy community that is housed in barges on the river. Barbara and Phyllis care for Gina when she goes into labor. After giving birth, Gina reveals that Leslie and she got married after only 3 months of dating when they found out that Gina was pregnant. Gina has grown excited and invested in her new life during her pregnancy, but she fears Leslie wishes he was still single. Marguerite, meanwhile, is cared for by Sister Winifred and Patsy after she collapses on her barge one morning. She is late in her pregnancy and tests reveal she is anemic and has low blood pressure. Patsy and Sister Winifred encourage Marguerite to check into the maternity home and have the children stay close by and attend school in the meantime. Marguerite's health improves under care, but after seeing her children cleaned up and restyled, she takes offense and the whole family goes back to the barge. Dr. Turner has a new drug he is excited to promote, the contraceptive pill. Sister Julienne is hesitant due to moral obligations stemming from her religious belief, but asks Dr. Turner and Sheila to do a talk at Nonnatus House to learn about the drug. It raises some questions and opinions in everyone, with no real resolution. Later on, a storm hits London with gale force winds at level 9. This coincides with everyone getting called out for various reasons. Trixie helps deliver 2 babies at the maternity home while Dr. Turner is assisting in delivering a third. Tim is hand-cranking a string of lights as the electricity has gone out as well. Nurse Crane is called to the tower blocks when Gina falls ill, and after care and a trip to the hospital is determined she had a rare form of postnatal preeclampsia. The scare makes Leslie realize his true feelings and commitment to his new family. Patsy is also drawn out in the storm when Lou, Marguerite's daughter, comes to get her as Marguerite has gone into labor. The two women reunite for Marguerite's birth and reconcile. Last, Patsy and Delia find a new way to be together. Barbara and Tom grow even closer, to hilarious effect, and a favorite returns to Nonnatus House. Sister Evangelina is back!
Yay!
Woo!
Can I just say, I really love a storm episode. Like, if
I
I was a writer of
know.
TV shows, I'd just make a storm episode constantly. People would be like, can we stop having storm episodes constantly on the show? I love a storm. This just makes something so exciting about a storm episode.
Oh, the
Also,
drama
it's
was
quite
at fever
cozy to
pitch.
watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it really was.
Also,
Yeah.
Delia and Patsy waking up together.
You guys,
Ooh.
this was the most, I mean, this is too strong of a word because no one did anything, but like sex heavy episode in the whole series. Barbara and Tom are going at it. Nurse Crane is talking about a weekend like with a sergeant in World War One.
Love
Like,
that.
I mean, everyone is like boffing everyone all over the town, and it's, I mean, again, it's like very tame. No one's seeing anything. It's all kind of in reference and intimation, but like, I mean, also the contraceptive pill. The whole thing is about premarital sex. I mean, this was a very big sex episode, and
Well,
I'm
I've
here
got a
for it.
question that's more on the practicality. You know me, I'm constantly concerned about the rooms. Do you know what But so why did the girls have to share if there was a room for Delia? Because why was Nurse Crane and Barbara sharing a room if there was another room for Delia to go in? Because there's another room for Sister Mary Cynthia to go in as well. There is no reason why they had to share, and it's annoying just saying.
Also,
I don't know.
how ideal would it have been if Delia and Patsy were just sharing?
Yeah, but then that's a bit mean on Trixie, innit? She was already sharing with her.
Well,
Yeah,
see,
but
this
I
was
think Trixie would be happy to have a room to herself.
Well, yeah, but probably not now. Now she's not drinking. When she was drinking, yeah, I bet she'd be loving it. But now she's not. She probably needs that.
I
She's a little
think-
bit lonely because Patsy's not in there, I thought.
Yeah. Also, I will say, like, Patsy's really running a risk by spending the night in Delia's room because the thing is, like, they're all up and down all night because of their jobs and stuff. I would be anxious that I would get caught. And like in this episode, like Patsy right at the beginning of the episode wakes up in Delia's bed, like gets up and leaves, like she sneaks back to her room with Trixie. But like then just as she's going into her door, like Barbara opens her door to come out and like presumably like go to the bathroom or something like that. She can get caught so easily.
Well, to wave to Tom.
Yeah, I know. Another like hot and heavy romance that's like really heating up this time.
It can't be a very restful night's sleep. I don't think that's the purpose of them being in there.
No. Well, if you
Probably
noticed,
not.
Patsy was yawning right at the start because obviously she had a heavy night, you know, reading stories with Delia. Um, Shall we do Mrs. Blacker, Daisy, Marguerite Blacker first?
Sure.
No, I thought her name was Daisy.
It's Marguerite's a real name. Daisy's her name she uses.
Oh,
Right.
I did hear Patsy saying like all the kids' names, and they were all these like really cutie poo names and stuff like that. But I didn't catch the Daisy for Marguerite. I mean, Marguerite enough was that's kind of a name in and of itself.
Did you, or did you hear her talking about the barge names? Because I thought she was saying the kids' names, but she wasn't. She was just naming the barges.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I did not put that together. I thought those were the kids' names, like Daisy, Luli, Poppy Lou, like
No. Well,
Sunshine,
Daisy's
Belle,
the mum's
all that.
name. Lou is the eldest daughter's name, but the names she was
Right.
listing were the names of the barges.
Because
Oh,
I
okay.
thought they made sense as children's names until it got to Golden Maid. And I was
That
like,
makes sense.
What, you not calling your child Golden Maid?
You know what it sounds like?
That was up there for my daughter, but we were just like, oh, it's a bit too posh.
It's long. Well, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like Jamie Oliver's kids. He's named all of his kids like
they have long
Poppy,
names.
Doily, like, Mommy
Doily.
Floppy,
You know what? I actually think I could probably do this. It's Poppy, Petal,
Daisy Boo,
Daisy Boo, River,
Buddy Bear.
Buddy Bear, yeah, and there's another girl
Wait.
as well.
No, the child's name is Buddy Bear.
Yeah, Buddy, space Bear.
Like on the birth certificate, the child's name
Yeah.
is Buddy.
Well, I presume he announced it to the press.
Buddy, and then its middle name is Bear. His middle name is Bear.
Gracious. Okay. I love Jamie Oliver. People are not naming their kids what they want, but like Buddy Bear is that's definitely taking it to the edge.
One of them's Daisy as well, Daisy Boo.
Yeah. They're very there's a lot of like hippie names, like with some of these celebrities in the UK and in the US too. Like
speaking of UK and US, barges, are they a thing over there?
No, I wanted to talk about this. I'll say this. It's not a culture I think that we have over here. I've never seen this kind of thing. I will say I don't think that people could live on barges the same way in the US, the way that they could maybe do in the UK with our geography and everything. I don't think we really have a barge community over here. But if there's someone who knows about it, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, they don't have canals, Alex.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. I mean, in certain, like, there's certain places where you could maybe do a barge lifestyle, but like, no, it would be hard, even just geographically, to do it,
Have you ever been on a barge, either of you?
No, but I recently started watching these people that lived on it, because they're also called narrowboats, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then I got it into my head recently that it would be a great idea to live on a narrowboat and it would be a great lifestyle. And then I was like, what the hell am I thinking?
Well, we know someone who lives on one of our mutual friends.
Yes, we do. But I've never been on one. I don't know why I thought
I have. I've been on a barge holiday, and I've been on them quite a few times. It was great. The lock things, at the start when she collapses and she's doing the lock, they are really stressful and scary. And we once saw a dog nearly drown in one. It was awful. It was really harrowing part of my childhood.
Wait, drown like next to the barge in the water?
No, in the lock. Yeah. So a lock. The first bit where she's doing is where she twists the key and stuff is to open this big massive lock. It's like this weird bit.
It's so that you can go up hills.
Yeah. And it's to let water in, so they kind of, you have to open these big gates to go through, and it's quite the trial. It took me a long time to really understand, and I still don't. I'm 42, still don't really understand. But a dog went in there and it nearly drowned, and it was really awful. But we managed to save it.
It brings the water level up,
so they can just
move through the lock.
Yeah.
Okay. Now wait. Here's a question, because she does mention, my husband had to turn down work because I had to come here today. Can you get all the way from London to Birmingham, which for people who don't know is like kind of in the middle of England, on canals? You can get all the way up there.
You can do it all the way up to Manchester. You can do it all the way up through to Newcastle. You can do it all the way through. Yeah.
You are kidding.
No.
Now
don't get me wrong, they are not fast.
So it would take, how long do you think it'd take to get from London to Birmingham on a barge like that?
To Birmingham, I don't know if it'd be that. You could do it in a day, London to Birmingham.
Okay. Wow.
I reckon.
I didn't realize there was that much like watery parts that you could connect all the way up there.
Well, they're man-made.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then totally different story. Never mind.
Oh, hang on. No. If you cruise the entire 137 miles, it would take around 74 hours. So no, it wouldn't take a day.
It's like more like 3 days to get up there.
More like 8. But yeah.
And well, if you're going like 12 hours a day, well, actually, oh no, you're right, 8, because you're obviously not going to be sailing for the whole 24-hour
I
period.
love barges. We went on a school trip on an aqueduct. Have you ever seen an aqueduct?
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good, and it was so high in Wales. It was just great.
Do either of you guys know, is barges like a holdover from like olden times before you had other forms of transportation? Is that why they exist?
Yeah, so it predates the railway.
Oh, okay. I'm getting
My
it.
mum did some
Yeah.
digging on our family, and she reckons my dad's side of the family, because my dad's dead swarthy. She reckons they were bargees, but my grandma was like, "No, we were not." So I don't know what that means.
So the word swarthy, I just pictured like one of those romance novels from the 80s where the guy has like a big shirt that's like ripped open and all these muscles and like arm hair and like a big belt and like hair and like he's just grabbing.
Jen, you've seen my dad. If you think that about him, you're deluded. But carry on. I meant the look of him, the darkness. He's very dark skin and dark hair.
Think about your dad that way.
You wouldn't be the first, Jen. Actually, you probably would. You probably would be the first, Jen.
Picturing an ancestor from a long time ago. Oh God. I don't know why swarthy like really took me on a journey. Okay.
I think. Do you remember that book that Sister Monica Joan read in the when she was having a cataracts done?
Yes, I do.
You've been reading a bit too much, many of them, or that one.
I have been reading some of those, you guys. I got back into those not too long ago, and it's been actually quite fun, I have to tell you. Oh, well, anyways, that's a different podcast.
So
but
Daisy lives on a barge with a family. She's got quite a lot of kids with a husband.
yes.
And they tend to, so when he goes for work, they tend to like take things places as well on the barges. So she's got all the kids, and Lou's the eldest at 11, and they've never been to school. She's not into any help from the state or anything.
Yeah.
I feel so sorry for Lou.
Same.
Lou really wants to live kind of quote in the normal world. Yeah.
Well, they were well up for going to school, the kids.
Oh, yeah. I know.
Yeah. Well, I liked it when, okay, so Marguerite gets a home visit basically from Patsy.
Well, she's
and
heavy pregnant and collapses first off.
Right. So she goes to the hospital, she gets released, she goes home. Patsy and Winifred follow up at home, which is the barge. And then they say, oh, well, we'd really like it if you could come to clinic. So anyway, fast forward, she goes to clinic and she says, she does kind of the thing that some of the other patients have done where it's like, I'll only talk to this one nurse or whatever. So Sheila gets Patsy to come out and talk to her or whatever. And, they say, well, we'd really like you to go to the maternity home. And while you're there, like the kids can stay on land too. And like, they can go to school. And I got to give Marguerite credit. She turns to Lou and she says, well, what would you like to do? And Lou says school immediately. And she's like, okay, well, I guess that's decided or whatever.
Do you know, Alex, when she got booked into the maternity home for bed rest, I thought of you. I was like, oh, Alex would love
Oh, I know. Another week where you're like, if only.
I also thought of me. Also, how quiet was it? How quiet and lovely was it in the maternity home?
Yeah, but it was literally the calm before the storm.
It literally was.
Literally, yeah. But wouldn't you love to have somebody walk up to you and give you like fuzzy nightgown and then like ask you how your breakfast should come out? You'd love that.
Yes, I would.
I didn't warm to. I'm going to call her Daisy.
Yeah, I am.
I didn't warm to her.
She was a bit prickly. I'll give her that.
I think that was the whole point. She was supposed to act as if, because obviously she wasn't into society's help. She was supposed to be seen as like other kind of person who wasn't great at socialising with non.
She took it too far. Sheila offered her an egg for breakfast, and she was like, "Well, I have bread." I was like, "For God's sake!"
Yeah, but that's the point. I think it's to show that she's not about social nicety. She doesn't really mix in any circles. She doesn't know to have those social niceties. She's just with her and her family. That's it. Like people probably get quite weird after just being with their family for a bit. I know we were after COVID.
She's a really proud woman too. You know what I mean? Like she's proud of her life. She doesn't see anything wrong with it. She doesn't want other people kind of treating her less than just because of how she conducts herself and stuff.
But someone could literally say to me, "Oh, we have pig's trotters for breakfast," and I'd be like, "Oh, lovely," inwardly thinking, "Oh."
I'd be like, "I'm allergic," or "I'm a vegetarian."
But bless his heart, Joe Blackett was a good one because he was the one who made her get checked out, and he was the one who made her go to the clinic. So I did think
he was also the one who made her go work harder on the lock, though, when she was heavy pregnant.
He was, to be fair.
He was like, "Put your back into it, Marguerite. Come on now." And she's like, "Oh, like."
It was
Bent
them.
over with her
So her
big
mum's
tummy.
collapsed, and he goes, "Go on, Lou, go and check on her, not you. Get out the barge, Lou, and go and check on her."
You know what Lou is like though, which I thought about? Like Lou is kind of the opposite of some of our other like oldest daughter characters. Like, do you remember Morris Glennon who had the leg thing or whatever? And his daughter was like so ready to like do the dressings and like wear the nurse's hat, and she was like, "This is my calling now," or whatever like that. Lou is the exact opposite of that. Like every time that someone says like, "Well, do you want to help mommy or whatever?" Like no one says that to her, but you know what I'm saying? She's like, "No, I really don't. Can I go off with the other kids? Like, can I get out of here? Can I leave? Like, can I get my hair done? I don't want to do any of that." So yeah, I think Lou needed a little bit of a respite as well from some of this responsibility.
So Daisy was in the maternity home. She kicked off because the kids smelt of lousing stuff.
Delousing lotion.
And she had like, maternity home written on her bum, basically. And she was just getting really annoyed about the whole situation, didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
So she had kind of kicked off and fell out with them and then went back to her barge. But
she was rude though. She was so rude when she said she wanted her clothes back, and everyone was like trying to persuade her to stay, and she's like, "Fetch them." I'm just like, that's not necessary.
She was, but at the same time,
don't defend her, Alex.
Yeah, but if you're angry and you lose your temper, no, I don't know. I'm not naming names here, but if I know anyone who loses their temper, I'm just saying some people can just lose their temper and get a bit angry sometimes. Yeah. All I'm saying is she just got a bit angry and people weren't listening to her, so she snapped.
No, I would not be rude. I'd be irrational, yes, but not rude.
Well, perhaps maybe an element of stubbornness was also at play here, and that stubbornness might telegraph.
No, you can't persuade me. Although, can I just say that I loved
literally talking about stubbornness. You can't persuade me.
But did anyone else pick on the expression that Patsy used? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Yes,
yeah, I loved it.
That's a good one.
I've never heard that before, and I loved it.
I would use it.
Oh,
we should start using it. We should use it in everyday life.
I've heard that a bunch of times. I wonder if that's a well, I mean, I think that is a pretty common saying. A little old fashioned, but pretty common. I wonder if you guys maybe just don't say it as much in the UK.
No, we're just progressive over here. So anyway.
Yes, the Brits are so progressive. Yes.
With our canals. Anyway, so anyway.
Whenever people think of Britain, they think of forward-thinking, future people, progressive to the max.
Anyway, she's on the barge. The storm hits, she's giving birth, or she goes into labour on the barge.
Poor Lou's been like dragged in to help her mum give birth.
Yeah.
Marguerite even says, she's like, "Oh, I don't need anybody else. Lou will help me." And Lou's like, "No, I won't. No, I'm not."
Lucy's face is like, Now, luckily, the community come together. So the bargee community, they were lovely, those women who came to help.
They were.
I just love the fact that they were just, I just thought it was so lovely. The way they were like, we don't know each other, but we do. We know the way. We know the ways.
Right. They were the opposite of Daisy.
Yeah, they were.
Well, it was very like
you
can't excuse Daisy's behaviour on her lifestyle.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is she was at ease with them. And they were at ease with her because they know each other's lifestyle, where she felt judged by the rest of society.
But they were lovely to Patsy when Patsy arrived.
Also, wait, just can we like give Bex, I think your point is well made, but let's just give Daisy like a little moment here, because you can tell when like she is going into labor and she's sitting there and the dad is like, "Do you want me to call anybody? Like, do we want?" And she's like, "No." She's like, "Me and Nurse Mount had words. We both know kind of what happened and everything." I sensed, now this is my perception, okay? I felt that she was having that thing that sometimes happens when, and I've been guilty of this, so I'm not singling anyone out, but like when you've kind of gone a bit too hard and then you're like, "Oh, I don't like now, like we're not in a fight, but like now, like I don't know how to kind of like repair the damage, even though like I
can sympathize with this."
Like once you calm down and you're like, "Oh, I really like was so mean, and like now I have to apologize, but I don't really know how, and I also feel awkward and embarrassed and everything like that because like da da da." And so I felt like when Patsy showed up after Lou ran and got her, that was her kind of time to be like, "No, it's okay. Like, yes, I do." She was a lot sweeter when Patsy came.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think she felt a bit embarrassed about how she kind of kicked off in the maternity home,
And also then she sent Lou away with the other kids, and I really like that for Lou.
Yeah, me too.
And she had a baby girl who was so cute.
Well done, Lou, for actually going to get Nurse Mount.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Yeah, Lou knew what was up right
10
away.
out of 10 to Lou.
Yeah.
And also when she actually gave birth, because she was all about the rose hip and stuff, because obviously she's showing her that like from the oldie worldy kind of lifestyle that she lives using things like that, medical methods like that. But she was talking about they don't cut the umbilical cord yet, and that's actually now you're told. Well, I was 6 years ago to try and keep it for 15 minutes so you get all the everything good from it. So keep it there. Whereas now in this show they just kind of cut it straight away. But obviously, yeah, the oldie worldy way of keeping it for as long as possible. That's what she was doing, and that's
so
what
they recommend
is recommended for
medicine
now.
To let like all the kind of juices like flow in for a few more minutes.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Whatever's in there is something. I mean, it's got to be some kind of weird goop or whatever, right? I mean, it's not.
It's to do with stem cells.
It's just the bloodstream.
Oh, it's disgusting.
I do think it's something to do with stem cells.
Okay.
But yeah.
I mean, listen, listeners, if any of you know what the point of that is, like, please sound off because, like, I mean, none of us are doctors or
none of us know.
So, I mean, obviously, it makes sense that like good stuff would be.
Yeah. But then at the end, once she'd given birth, and there were cute baby, and there was really cute babies in this show today.
Really cute.
But also, she was like, "We know where we belong, don't we, to the baby?" And that made Patsy think about her and Delia, and we'll go back to that later. They never named the baby though, did they?
No, they didn't.
No, but it was a little girl,
Golden.
right?
Huh?
Golden Maiden. Yeah,
Golden Maid.
Well, have you said before, Bex, a pretty name costs nothing.
Chiquetta. Now.
Okay, just if we're gonna move on, I just want to make one last point because we didn't cover it, and this is like kind of a more aesthetic thing. I loved the whole bargey world styling. Like, I love the hair, I love the clothes, I love the painting on the boats, like the interior decorating and everything. I thought it was all so cute and eclectic. Lou's outfit, she had that like stripy jumper that was all like different kind of knit, stripes and everything, and like the flower, like different gold, white, red, green, painting of like different things on the boat and everything. It just was very funky, folksy, like, in a way that we don't see that often on the show, and I just thought it was like distinctive and I really liked it. And anyway, I just wanted to call
it's still very much on vogue for barges right now to this day.
There you go. I just had to shout it out because I just love that. Like styling and like the look of that. It was definitely different than how people and families are portrayed on the show usually.
Aesthetics.
Yeah, that more like folksy, funky kind of vibe.
Well, when you come over, when we record a podcast over here, we'll go to the canal. There's loads right near me.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say we'll go on a barge holiday.
We can go on a barge.
We can do that too.
We can go on a barge. Yeah, not the whole holiday. It's a bit long, but we'll do it for like a day.
Maybe have like lunch on a barge, and then just be like, okay, now we've had enough.
There's one near me actually that does it's like a pirate ship thing, like a theme going on.
Ooh.
So not really the same aesthetic.
No, but it's cool. And my mum's friend's daughter runs it, so
Is there a swarthy person?
My dad could do it. Yeah, he can come.
No.
We'll leave and leave you two to it.
Yeah, don't think my mum will be too happy, but carry on.
Don't want that. I'm sorry.
Are you rejecting my dad?
Sorry, I made a joke about it.
Right, shall we go on to the other bit?
Oh, yes.
Well, shall we cover the launch of the contraceptive pill? Because then I think that nicely ties into Gina and Leslie's story.
Okay.
Oh, good point.
So Dr. Turner is very excited because they're launching the contraceptive pill, and unlike previous contraception, people don't have to visit the family planning clinic. So it's basically available to singletons as well as married women.
Yeah, because you had to be a married woman to be, referred to the family planning clinic.
But Sister Julienne struggles.
Now, I'm a bit disappointed with Sheila here because obviously Dr. Turner's very liberal, but Sheila was a bit slow after being a nun for so long to actually realise that it was a bit of a moral dilemma for Sister Julienne.
Do you think she didn't realise, or do you think she was hoping it wasn't and she'd kind of not thought about it that way?
Well, they made it look like she didn't realise, didn't they? But she seemed a bit embarrassed, and then she was like, lemon puff, and then she was like, is there anything plainer? Like, this you did used to be in this lifestyle for a long, long time.
Yeah.
I think Sister Julienne was a bit curt with her, wasn't she?
To me, the comment about like, do you have anything plainer is like the closest Sister Julienne has ever gotten to like throwing shade. Like, to me, I feel like that was like the first side eye she's ever given on the show.
So true.
And I think you would expect Sister Julienne to be more accepting of it because, I mean, Dr. Turner says that 10% of babies born in Poplar are illegitimate.
Yeah. I will say, I felt this is so hard for me because I love Sister Julienne so much, but I felt a little bit disappointed in her opinion, but I did get it. I got where it was coming from. I think what was tough for me is, I kind of had to remember like, well, she's a nun first. and then she's a midwife and, you know, everything else. And like, I think the nun part of her and her faith, you know, like not her faith so much, but like her beliefs and morality that are kind of constructed a lot from her faith practice were overriding maybe some of the stuff that she knows very practically and pragmatically, like as a caregiver in this community. And I was like, Sister Julianne, you know the price people have to pay for unwanted pregnancies, you know, like, or unplanned pregnancies. And it's like, you know, get with the times. But she was really, yeah.
In the past as well, I think because Sister Julianne has been so supportive of unmarried mothers, it's kind of, you don't expect her to take this stance. You think that she's going to be a lot more open to it, but obviously she's thinking about all the moral implications of it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just think it was very short-sighted of Sheila after being for so long a nun.
She's caught under Dr. Turner's spell.
His liberal medical spell.
Sheila is 1000% a totally different person. Like, she's completely invested in.
She is, but that doesn't
wife, mom, everything.
Yeah, but that doesn't extract that 10 plus years of being a nun that she was, and she was dedicated to it, and she's still religious, and she's still very moral with religious things, you know, when she talks to Timothy about stuff. So I was quite surprised that they did make it out like she wouldn't have thought of that.
Well, I'll just say this, like, she is religious, she is very moral, but I mean, never forget, like, the history of the contraceptive pill is that it was invented by a Catholic doctor, and the way that he devised the pill was so that women would never miss a period, because he wanted something that, you know, was as uninvasive biologically as he could possibly get, that would still like allow normal cycles to happen and everything else, because he was trying to kind of walk the line between his faith and, you know, like medical advancement, you know, for like family planning and everything. And so I mean, maybe
by the way.
Oh, well, sorry, but I mean, I had learned that, and I thought it was a really interesting fact. And
yeah, it really is.
And it was, so I mean, in a way, I wonder if maybe Sheila didn't have those views ever, or maybe she evolved in those views over time, and she didn't, and maybe the reason she didn't think of it or didn't anticipate is because she didn't see a moral conflict. Like, she kind of thought, you know, like, well, just because the thing is, they make an analogy to the birth control pill being like penicillin, and Sister Julianne is like, oh, well, that's a medical marvel. And it's like, well, yeah, it is, but you know, like, before we had penicillin, people died of all these horrible diseases. Well, now we have the contraceptive pill. That means people don't have to have these babies that they don't want, don't plan, you know, whatever. So like, you know, we're controverting kind of quote nature for like lots of reasons, and this is just one other way that human beings are allowed to have more like autonomy and self-direction through medical advancement. And so maybe Sheila didn't think that it was going to be something that was that controversial.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You and I needed to attend Dr. Turner's seminar, Alex.
We very much did.
Well, actually, can we talk about that seminar? Because that was awesome. That was a great scene. Like, the awkwardness of those looks in that scene was so amazing. I loved it.
Well, Tom's been caught out because he was visiting Barbara. Oh no, it was the previous night that he was caught out because he was visiting Barbara, and then he's invited to the seminar to give a Christian.
Well, so let's talk about Tom being caught out. So first off, Tom and Barbara were listening to Teach Me Tiger by April Stevens, which was banned from loads of US radio stations.
Oh, yeah. I didn't realize that.
Whoa, Teach Me Tiger. Whoa.
I think it's the most, like, I know at the time when it came out, it was probably like a very sultry song, but it's like, listening to it in this episode, it was absolutely hilarious. Like, I could not take any of it seriously at all. Like, when she goes, oh, whoa, like, I absolutely just devolved into like fits of giggles. I couldn't do it.
So they're listening to Trixie's record, whoa. And they're getting a bit, you know, carried away with the snogging, and he's got brill cream on his hair, and he's up against a wall, so you know Barbara's really going for it. And anyway, then the nuns walk in, but they don't see them kissing, but the nuns walk in like, you here for Tom? And he's like, oh yes, I am.
No, but get this. So like, when he first came in, she touched, like, he kissed her then, and she touched his hair, and she was like, oh my God, Tom, what the hell? And he was like, she's like, you're covered in brill cream. And he was like, well, I had like 2 funerals and a wedding or something. He's like, the parishioners expect a certain kind of presentation. And I was like, I think you could have laid off just a little bit. But anyways, so then so blah, blah. They go into the room and they play that song. Another example, by the way, of romantic couples just dancing, you know, ad lib in a sitting area or whatever like that. And then they get like, so that like they're making out against this wall or whatever. And the reason that they stop making out is because Tom grabs Barbara's bum. And she was like, whoa, herself. And then when they pull away, that's when she's like, oh my God, Tom, you literally stained the wallpaper with your brill cream. And she starts rubbing it. And then the part where the stain is on the wall, and she's like, it's just getting shinier.
Yeah, but then, so fast forward to the nuns coming in, him going to compliment them all that. Then they're sat down having like tea or whatever out around it, and everyone's like, "What's that on the wall?" And Barbara's like, "What thing?" Like this thing, and she's like, "Perhaps it's an optical illusion."
Also, can we just laugh at like what they said it was? One of them, I think it was Sister Winifred, that was like, "I hope it's not damp." Barbara was like, "I don't think you're really seeing anything. I think it's just a shadow." And then Sister Monica Joan thinks it's like a ghost that's manifesting
She
itself.
thinks it's a manifestation.
To be fair, like, it is of his horniness.
But then what I don't get is Nurse Crane says it smells very masculine and it's 6 foot up the wall.
Yeah.
Why did nobody put 2 and 2 together?
Because I feel like straight after that, they took Sister Julienne was like, "I want you all to meet." It went quite serious for her talking about this lecture session, whatever. And then Trixie was like, "I can't make it," and then it kind of got. So Barbara was really relieved at that point. But then so they had the actual meeting at Nonnatus House, and Tom was invited as some sort of moral compass to do with the morality.
Oh God, as if, yeah, really.
And it was just really awkward. And then so they were all talking, and Sister Evangelina was there looking at him to be this like beacon of hope for.
No, not Sister Evangelina.
Sorry, Sister Juliet. Why do I always mix them up? And it's because she's on my mind.
My favourite bit was when Nurse Crane said, "Excuse me, sister, may I see penis?"
It's like my daughter. She says, "Excuse, can I have permission to swear?" I'm like, no.
Why would she need permission to swear? I know
she wants to ask if it's a swear word. So she's like,
"Oh, she wants to ask if
it's a swear word. So do I have permission to swear?"
Oh, okay.
Like, no, you don't.
Oh, okay. I thought she was gonna say like, "Do I have permission to swear?" And then if you said yes, she'd be like, "Bleep, bleep, bleep, bleep." You know, like she would just start cussing for just like no reason.
No, she thought "blumming" was a swear word, and I was like, "It's not, mate." Anyway. But so anyway, it's really awkward.
Sorry, let me just pause because we had referenced this in an earlier episode, but this is the episode where Phyllis says that one of the moms who she had talked about family planning to in the past had told her, "Oh, my husband said it's like swimming in a river with your socks on," and then everyone was like, "Oh," and like what. Tom looked like he was about to just melt into the floor and die. And then
Tom looked confused. And I'm surprised that Tom was so confused by that.
I don't think he was as confused. I don't think he was confused. I think he was really embarrassed.
He was confused about menstruation and stuff as well. But afterwards, Barbara was having a go at him. She was like, "How could you sit there lecture on morality when your Brill cream's on the wall the size of an elephant's head?"
Yeah, and you were grabbing my butt like less than 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
I love that Barbara stood up to him.
Oh yeah.
Just ace.
Yeah.
Also, can we talk about Nurse Crane going on about her weekend in Cleveley's?
Oh my God, yes. Wait. I guess we'll talk about it now because we kind of conjectured this when she had the older guy, the Spanish friend that she made, that she had a crush on and everything. We were like,
yeah,
what's
I remember this scene,
like?
And it's finally come up. Yeah,
and I was just like, Phyllis, get it. Like honestly, good for you. Like I am. Well,
she was
so
talking
glad.
about the fact that she was an illegitimate child and the shame that went along with that. But she was saying when the opportunity for a weekend in Cleveley's with an Air Force sergeant presented itself, I nearly chickened out, but I shall always have fond memories of Cleveley's. And then she spoke about getting a douche.
Oh my God, that was disgusting. What did she say? It was like
a bleached douche or something.
It was like some kind of like contraceptive, like precautionary douche, and I was like, bleh. That's disgusting. But
I loved it when she said it was a bit of a fiddle faddle.
Yeah.
But we managed.
Wait, the douche or the man that she was?
Well, both maybe. But it was killed over Germany in 1941, and it made me very glad we had seized the moment. I was like, "Love it, go Phyllis."
Yes. Well, what did she say? Maybe you guys already said this. She said like that was like the World War II was like a time when kind of morals and standards were kind of shucked out the window. You know, she was like everyone was just kind of doing what they had to do because it was like such a scary time and people didn't really know what was going to happen down the road. And I have to say, like, good for her that she sees the moment. Like
100%.
Oh my God, I just continue to love Phyllis. Like, just good for her, honestly, you know?
Well, she's amazing.
Now,
yeah,
we're jumping ahead a bit, but just one point was because obviously we're going to talk later about how Sister Evangelina's come back, but I did love it when Sister Evangelina said it's typical of Dr. Turner, one sniff of a novelty medication, he's off like a moggy with catmint.
Again, one-liners, amazing.
Oh man, they're so good.
So this leads us nicely on to Gina and Leslie's story, because Gina and Leslie were forced to get married because they basically had to do the right thing after Gina got pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
3 months in, can you imagine?
I literally cannot imagine marrying and having a child with anyone I've known after 3 months. I don't care who they are.
But back then, I do think time moved a bit quicker.
Time didn't. That I know of, unless there was a big change.
I literally, in my head, I had just made the comment about I don't know anyone who I would want to do that with, and then I was like, wait a minute, maybe, and then I was gonna make a joke about celebrity crush, who would you get married to after 3 months, and celebrity crush version or whatever, and then Beck says maybe time moved quicker back then in my.
It did. They got married quicker.
Oh my god, my brain just skidded to a rapid stop when you.
It's right. This makes everyone sound like a dirty dog or whatever, but I used to think that people used to get married sooner because they wanted to, because they couldn't beforehand.
Faster. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they did, honestly.
I think that came into it.
Yeah.
I think it did too. If you're young and you want to get it out and you don't, and I don't mean get it out, but I mean, it's if you're, if you I have to say, I think this is a reason why there were a lot of marriages in the 40s and 50s that ultimately were ill-advised, and we saw a lot of people who were not happy later on because they made a choice based on stuff like that and not stuff like that. It really
they didn't make a choice. Society made that choice for them.
Yes, they did. And now this, how many couples on the show now have we had where the thing that is driving their decision making is the result of unprotected sex, basically? And that's just a terrible way to be making choices. It's just, in Gina and Leslie's case, it worked out really well, but that was incredibly lucky. But
let's start with Gina. So Gina is decorating in a flat when we first see her. She's heavy pregnant, stood on a step, painting.
She lives on the 8th floor of a tower block. Most depressing tower block.
Well, it looks good. It's not depressing. It's a lovely one there.
It was brand new at that point. I thought it looked okay.
Yeah, she was dead into it. And then her husband Leslie walks in, and instead of being oh, I'll help, he's just just really shy, rude and checked out is what I've written here. But I feel like he's just really shy as well, because I feel like my husband can come off like that because he's quite a shy person. And I just feel like he can seem really rude, and he's just doesn't really know what to say. So he's just all right. That's why I felt a bit tight on this man. But then they're all he's awful. And I'm like, oh.
To me, this is not the way that it happened on the show at all. But exactly what you're describing is every time you've gone over to your girlfriend's and the boyfriend comes in and he's oh, and then he's just you know what I mean? Every boyfriend who's ever had to vacate his premises because all of his girlfriend's friends are coming over to have a birthday party, book club, watch The Bachelorette, whatever it is, they're all just all boyfriends come across that way. Even I've rarely encountered a boyfriend that's engaging, nice, funny, charming, oh girls, I've liked all the boyfriends. I'm saying you have a great husband. I love your husband, but they just don't. Men just don't do that.
Do you know that meme of Homer Simpson backing into a hedge?
Yeah,
that's what I feel like. And also, I feel like,
or that's what you feel like your husband is like.
Yeah, when people are over, he's just goes back into a hedge oh.
Yeah, that's very much your husband. Yes, exactly, exactly. Yeah.
But this Leslie here as well. But here I wrote before I didn't realise what the whole storyline was. It was a bit confusing, really. Those just shows.
Oh, I couldn't tell what was going on with these two until literally she spelled it out.
I wrote here, it's he doesn't know that there's a baby on the way. And I just wanted to talk about the fact that when I was pregnant, even heavy pregnant, my husband was just he just couldn't imagine the baby ever being here, ever being born. It was just always going to be in there. And I was just you're seeing me grow with this massive bump. Surely he just couldn't imagine it ever being out. And I was well, it's gonna be. Imagine. Start imagining.
We've got a friend, Alex, whose younger sister got pregnant, and her mum was helping. You get the hospital list of what you need in your hospital bag, and she was helping her getting ready for the baby, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And she was going through what they needed to get for the baby, and I don't know how many baby grows you have to have for the hospital, but literally that was what she'd got. All she'd got was the stuff that was on the hospital bag list. And her mum was but you need more than this because you need it just for the rest of the baby's life.
Yeah. And how old was this person when they had this baby? Do you remember?
She was a teenager.
Yeah, they were.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair. You know what I chalk it up to? Because Al, you and I have been watching Love Island because it's on in the summer. And just to your point about your husband, not to go on a big tangent, but I am just going to blatantly go on one for just a quick minute here. The way that, and again, I don't mean to be rude at all to all men, but I'm just going to make some gross generalizations.
Oh, do it.
Men are so emotionally stupid, and like this is the thing that makes me laugh about them. It's like you're watching Love Island and these boys are on there and they're talking about like the girls that they're now like in couples with and everything, and like just in the last week or so they've had a bunch of episodes where the boys are like sitting around, and it's just the boys, they're like sitting around talking, they're like, oh man, like I can't believe it, like, you know, like it's wild how like when I'm like around her, like I just really enjoy her company, and like I can just talk to her like she's like my mate, and like but also like she's so pretty, and like it's nice, and like it's crazy that when she's not here, like I actually like think about her and like miss her and like wonder what she's doing, and like also like da da da, and I'm just like, and they're just like, Mom, like they're just
I
like,
will say, Jen, this particular series,
crop of boys are really
awful.
stupid. Yeah, they're
apart from
really
Scott, they're awful.
yeah. It's just it, but the thing is, like, I just sometimes feel like, I mean, again, like, no shade to your husband, because obviously he's a, you know, great husband and dad or whatever, but like, I just sometimes feel like men are so clueless, and it's like, they say things, and it's like, are you a human being? Like, do you feel feelings? Like, how have you like gotten this far in life, and you like literally are so mystified by just like all of this stuff, and it's just wild to me. Like, I just feel like it just makes me laugh.
Well, luckily in this storyline, she has another boy. She has a son.
She
So another boy to
does.
bring into the emotionally.
Actually, to give
info.
Leslie a little bit of credit, didn't he say that they had talked about the baby name, and he was like, I'd really like it to be named Robert after like my dad or something?
After his
Well,
uncle, yeah.
After his uncle.
He doesn't say I'd really like it. Doesn't he say, she say something along the lines of, Leslie said we could call it Robert?
Yeah.
Leslie told me we're going to be calling this baby Robert.
Never
fair,
mind.
I like it.
Give Leslie some credit, but never mind.
But also, it's more of the modern names. Like, I went to school with a lot of Roberts. Like, I didn't go to school with any Keiths. Like, it's more modern names creeping in.
Yeah.
But Leslie
yeah.
did get emotional when the baby was born.
Wait, did
Yeah.
he?
Yeah.
When?
When
He
he
was
was in
like
the other
rubbing his
room
eyes.
listening.
He was doing this.
Oh.
He's rubbing her eyes for the people, because this is a podcast, Bex.
Bex was
It's
doing
either,
very
he was either
good.
emotional or he was just really tired because they woke him up early.
Well, he did get woken up, but then, you know, he was asleep, so.
Yeah, I thought he was a bit no, he was rubbing his eyes because he'd fallen asleep.
No. When the actual baby was born, he was
I
sat
think
there,
he was emotional. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was awake.
Okay. I mean, emotional. Yeah, he wasn't like that emotional, but he did have some emotions. Sure.
So then the storm hit, the same amazing storm.
Yeah.
And she'd had the baby and everything was fine. But then she started feeling a bit unwell. And then the storm hit and he rang Nonnatus House because, you know, he was good there as well. He was going to make sure. He wasn't just like, oh, you just got to make sure. He did actually, you know, go and do something.
She goes off to the bathroom. She comes back and says that she can see flashing lights. At this point, the lights are starting to flicker because the electricity's going off. And he says, oh, it's just the storm. She looks like absolute death.
Yeah, she looked bad.
To be fair, you've seen me with a migraine. I look like that. I did actually think migraine when I first saw this episode.
I wondered that as well, actually, because
Yeah.
I know flashing lights are a symptom. Yeah.
So anyway, Nurse Crane
gets the
comes
message.
round. He tells her the symptoms. She's like, this doesn't sound good. So she rings for an ambulance, but before she can actually say the full address, because it's a storm, exciting storm episode, the phone's cut out just as she's just said the building, but not the number. So she gets, in her little Morris Minor, she gets to that flat. She runs up to 8 floors of stairs. Bless her. She had to do the cycling last week. Now she's doing this. So so she gets to the flat and she says to him, can you go downstairs and wait for the ambulance? That'd be a really big help. And he says, no, I'm going nowhere.
And God bless him, because he's like, I won't leave my wife. But at the same time,
I was so angry.
Frustrating, because you're just like, for God's sake, go and meet the ambulance.
I know. I'm like, this is when he needs to make a stand about how he's never leaving her side. Ugh, okay, fine.
Yeah, it really annoyed me because I'm just like, just listen to the advice. So anyway, they go down the stairs. It's an awful, awful, awful journey. She's being sick over the side. For some reason,
they cut that part out of our episode, all that.
Well, so he's helping her down the stairs and he's like hugging her a bit. And then Nurse Crane swaps places, gives him the baby. And she's like, I'll help her down. You two lovebirds can have a hug later. I thought, he's not just trying to shag her on the stairs or anything. Like, he's literally trying to help her.
She's just been sick over the banister. He was literally wiping sick from her face.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe Phyllis just wanted to like get them to move a little faster, though. Maybe he was being just a bit too like precious with it.
No,
I don't know. We didn't have the scene in my episode.
Well, Nurse Crane was a bit weird there. So then,
I
anyway,
thought you could have carried her down.
I did as well. That was my next point. But then I thought my husband wouldn't be able to carry me down. Not even 1 flight of stairs, let alone 8.
Maybe a piggyback.
I don't even know if that could happen. She's just given birth.
Can you imagine a lady in her condition
doing the splits on his back?
I'm sorry, it's not nice. That's so
So anyway,
imagine any physical position you'd want to be in less after you've just given birth and you're having postnatal preeclampsia, which is like having your stomach squeezed against your husband's back and then having your legs wrapped around him while he's trying to carry you down.
But even a fireman's lift, your stomach is like you've just gone through labour. No, thank you.
Wait,
anyway,
what's a fireman's lift?
A fireman's lift,
like over your shoulder. Do you not have those in America?
Wait. What do you mean? Where they put you over your shoulder?
Yeah.
So,
they just drape you over your shoulder and like, no, that would be bad. No, what I'm thinking of is like classic.
Yeah, what's that called in America? It's called a fireman's lift here.
Oh, well, okay. I definitely don't think this is what it's called, but like whenever my dad would pick us up as little kids and put us over his shoulder that way, he would say he was carrying us like a sack of potatoes, and that's not like that's not a term that like makes sense to anyone outside my family. But like what I was
fireman's carry, a fireman's
there we go. And that does happen over here, and I just don't think I knew the name of it. What I was thinking you guys were talking about was that he would like carry her down the stairs like classic, like his arms underneath her shoulders and then his other arm underneath her knees, so that he was like carrying her like
I did.
Like
that's what I envisioned.
We did. Yeah.
But then obviously, it would be hard to carry somebody like that down
8 flights of stairs.
Yeah. Even one flight. My God.
Exactly.
So anyway, she got down without fainting or something. I wouldn't have been in a well.
I wouldn't have been able to get down there either. No.
But she did, and then they got into the ambulance, and Nurse Crane was like, "I'll follow you," and she looked really scared, and she was like, "You don't need me. You've got him, and he knows how to take care of his family." I thought, what? Where has this come from? Where's this weird? Oh yeah, but he now knows. He miraculously cares and he knows, and he's fine about marrying you 3 months after having,
but it's one of those situations where you don't know what you've got till you nearly lose it.
Yeah, maybe. It just confused me a bit. It was a bit like the Roseanne Dawlish story. It did confuse me a bit, this one. It was a bit like they didn't make it clear enough that he was struggling, or like if they'd have had like him being like just talking to his friend or something, saying, "I'm just really struggling to accept." I don't know.
I'll say this. I liked the storyline between Leslie and Gina. Didn't have any issue with it. Like thought it was, part of the whole episode in a very nice way. But this to me was very much like the B pregnancy, like the second storyline pregnancy. And it was kind of one of those ones where they were like, I feel like it was like, even though we love the writers and they're amazing, like it was kind of like they were in the writer's room and they were like, anyways, let's just tie this up with a bow and get out of here. You know what I mean? Like we've got bigger fish to fry, like other stuff is happening. You know what I mean? Like,
I do agree. I think because this one links in more closely with the contraceptive pill story. If anything, they've just thrown the blackers in there. The blackers in any storyline.
No.
In any episode.
To me, the like Gina and Leslie kind of like are a real world example of the thing that the contraceptive pill will like have an effect on. But I didn't feel like they were more important than the blackers. I
thought the blacker story was more because I thought it also
I was
Delia and Patsy's thing as well, and
I agree.
No, I don't.
Agree to disagree.
We were talking about stubbornness before. Anyway,
although I will say this, here's something interesting, and life doesn't work this way, so they'll be together. But like, imagine if Leslie and Gina did have contraceptive, and then she never got pregnant. Like, what would maybe then they would date for a while, and then they would break up, and then move on, and then who knows? You know what I mean?
Like, those two would have stayed together.
Your point is invalid, Jen.
It would have worked out for them.
Oh my gosh, my goodness. Anyways, we'll never know, but there you go.
Well, they've got Robert now.
Yeah, we'll call him Robert. You can call him Robert. Almost like he was naming a dog or something. Anyways, I don't know.
Shall we talk about something very exciting that happened in this episode?
Sure.
Shall we talk about Sister Evangelina?
Well,
they were already mentioning her, weren't they?
Yeah.
Like little breadcrumbs of her. So it was a big surprise when she came, but then I was a bit like, Alex, you big thicko, why were you surprised when she actually was in it? Because actually, they spoke about loads, like the breadcrumbs the whole way through, and I was like, when I heard her voice, I ordered the gas. This is ages ago when I first watched it, but I was loving it.
Oh, when I was surprised she came back in this episode. I mean, it literally wasn't until Fred was standing on that pile of rubble with his Civil Defense Corps uniform on, and that I was like, oh my gosh, wait a minute, this is when she comes back. Like, I totally did not remember that this was the episode she came back until like about 30 seconds before she actually showed up. And I was in love with it just as much as I could possibly be in love with anything. I mean, it was so good. She was just awesome.
It was so lovely. I will say though, she was quite acerbic considering she'd just been in a silent order for 6 months. She'd gone there to think about the way she spoke to people, and she was still like, oh, you lot, what are you doing? You rubbish, you. Like, I was just like, hang on, you've literally gone away So stop that acerbicness, and you're exactly the same as you were before you went, apart from your arm.
Yeah, but she sorts things out. She requisitions a phone straight off because the
They
phone
were
line's
about to
down.
do it. They were about to do it. She didn't have to do it.
We
so
didn't know they
hastily.
were about to do it.
No, but she's
Sister
been out
Mary,
of.
Sister Mary Cynthia said that's literally where she was about to go to.
I know, but
Yeah.
Sister Evangelina wanted to pitch in. Like, she was so excited to get back in the thick of it.
No,
I mean, she
I know
did the
she
phone.
did, and I think it's amazing she did. But my point is, she didn't have to be that like that. What's the word? I said acerbic. I'm sticking with it. She didn't have to be that like sharp tongued with it because they were about to do it.
You're doing the thing that Becky did like a half an hour ago when she was yelling about Mrs. Blacker being too mean to Patsy. You're like, no, she shouldn't have been that mean. It was a bridge too far. I don't like it. It was too far.
A bridge. In the words of Rebecca, it was a bridge too far. Her and Sister Monica Jones seeing each other for the first time.
Oh, so beautiful. Can I just say, if they were American, they would have immediately run to each other and hugged. To me, the fact that they didn't hug was like so British. I was just, if that was an American scene, they would have definitely hugged each other.
Am I the most British person you know?
Huh?
Am I the most British person you know?
Yes, you are. You're like the Queen, Alex.
I
You're
hate
like
hugging.
the epitome of like, Britain standards.
But then on a night out, when you get a hug off drunk Alex, you're like,
oh my gosh, I know, it's the best.
It means so much more.
I mean, I'm just a hug whore, like giving them out all over the place. Like, I know my hugs aren't special anymore. They're a dime a dozen.
I just feel awkward. I used to wiggle out of them when I was little. Apparently, it was really annoying.
And whenever my mum sees you, Alex, I'm like, don't hug Alex. She doesn't like being hugged. And then the minute my mum sees you, she's like, gives you a massive hug.
Alex is like, a curt nod is all I need. Thank you very much.
No, she's like a child.
I'm a very warm person. I am a very warm person.
You know, when you're dealing with small children and you don't want them to have to like kiss family members goodbye, so you just give them a high five.
Yeah, that's like me.
That is Alex.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Anyway, let's carry on talking about Sister Evangelina.
It was a very sweet moment though between her and Sister Monica Joan. It was really beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to devalue it by saying that they should have hugged, but
superior acting from them too.
Oh god, yes.
As per. And also, so I noticed, obviously I've seen it before, so I didn't know if I'd noticed as much because I'd seen it before, but I think I did notice when I first watched it about her arm.
I didn't notice it until Sister Julianne pointed it out.
When I first watched it, I remember thinking, why is she only using her right arm because obviously
it was amazing acting.
Oh yeah, 100%. She's an amazing actress. She's amazing.
She's so good. She's so good.
Even just the way she held her arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Sister Julianne then brings it up with her, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And we find out that she had a stroke 2 months after she left.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that she's got everything back that she lost from it, except for the use of that right arm.
Yeah.
Or left arm? Left arm. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why she's saying she'll only do district nurse duties for now. And she's just very much her old self.
Yeah.
Apart from that. So they're obviously going to talk about that in more detail in future episodes. This episode, next episode, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Girls, real quick, just because it came up around this, but I got it. But like, did you guys get an extra little bit about why there are 8,000 apples turning up on the doorstep of Nonnatus House every single day in this episode?
Just because it's autumn.
Yeah, I thought it was just because people like giving them stuff because obviously they do so much for the community. They just get a lot of free stuff.
Oh, okay. That's what I intimated, but I didn't know if there was some extra thing about like
they have the same thoughts on marrows as Bex does.
Yeah. I did write down Sister Julianne saying, personally, I'm glad to be spared another marrow.
Yeah.
I hear you.
I will say there's a lot of stuff you can do with apples, although it did make me laugh when Sister Monica Joan is like, they make me Trump.
Like, you laughing at that?
My digestive like wind or whatever. I don't remember exactly what she says, but she says something about that, and I was just like, oh,
do you know what else? One of the very last scenes was Sister Evangelina eating an apple, and the pure joy that she evoked from that scene from eating an apple was amazing. I was just like, how did you act that well just eating an apple?
I'm telling you, these women on this show are so freaking talented. Like all of them. I mean, and this is the thing, like, okay, like a couple weeks ago, like I made a comment about Tom's acting, like, Jack Ashton. He's a great actor. But the thing is, you can be a great actor on this show and you can still get out acted by a mile by some of these women. I mean, like, I'm sorry, but it's like the fact that we've all seen many of them in other roles and they still 1000% embody these characters they're just so good. Like they don't seem like, they just seem like they literally literally walk in and just say all of this stuff. Like they never seem like they're trying hard
I know,
to
but
evoke
like
anything.
the scene with
awesome.
Sister Monica Joan and Sister Evangelina, they just looked at each other.
I know.
And it was amazing.
I know. They're so good. They're so
also
good.
On the subject of acting, Trixie's Alcoholics Anonymous monologue was amazing as well.
Yeah. Did you guys feel that there was, I don't know, I don't think it was intentional, but there was, speaking of acting, there was one guy attending that AA meeting was looking at her like kind of weird, and I was like, are you trying to like go on a date with her? Like, are you gonna like
I think he was just trying to do his extra acting, thinking, oh, I might get picked out again.
I might get picked for Complin.
Yeah.
It's just a little too much. I was like the way he was, like, all the other people around the thing were like, you know, like, yeah, you know, like relating to her in like a really normal way, but he just was like leaning forward and like grinning in this strange way, and I was like,
he was very smiley.
Well, I just was like, are we gonna see you again? Like, are you like some kind of like weird creepo that's gonna come out of the woodwork later? I don't know.
I thought it was a bit of a weird scene as well, because obviously it was just so out of the rest of the show. Like, I know why they've done it, because obviously they're saying at the start that Patsy's spending all the time with Delia and that she's feeling, and obviously there's more scenes to come because of this. So obviously they're building up to something, but I just thought it was a very like just thrown in the middle there. Great acting again. Like, don't get me wrong, amazing. But can we just talk really quickly about Delia and Patsy at the gay club as well?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it so much, the way they were actually dancing in the open with, you know, where they could be themselves, loving each other in front of people and dancing like a normal, you know, I say normal in inverted commas, couple, you know, like
right, they are a normal couple, but
exactly, accepted in society couple.
Right. Also, did you guys notice like when Patsy swung Delia around, like her hairpiece like wobbling on her head because she put like 8 pounds of hair on that ponytail? That really made me laugh. I was like, oh, Delia, like you pulled out the big one for tonight. You know what I mean? Like the double XL hairpiece for this night on the town.
I really love the name Delia. Like, I genuinely, like, if I'd have started watching this show before I had my daughter, they'd have the weirdest name, like Julienne, Delia, Rhoda. Anyway, shall we do Heroes and Zeros?
Yes.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Sorry, girls. Another episode where I haven't even thought about it.
My hero is going to be Timothy Turner.
Oh.
For being dragged out of bed in his pajamas and having to crank whatever he was cranking to keep the electricity on.
Oh, yeah. That is a good
bless
hero.
His heart.
He's such a good sport.
And then my zero is going to be Daisy Blacker.
Oh,
for her rudeness.
Fair enough. Okay, my hero is Phyllis Crane for her. I put Yes Queen about her dalliance with the.
That's gonna be mine too. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I absolutely loved it. The way she was just absolutely no shame about premarital sex. Absolutely, well, zero marital. I just absolutely loved it. Good on you, Phyllis. Love it. Live your life. Yes, Queen.
Yeah.
My zero is going to be Tom, and I'll tell you for why.
You told me that you took my both ones.
Well, I didn't like the way he left Barbara to deal with the Brill cream fallout. Just all on her. All on her.
Yep, exactly. Okay. You know what? I feel I really wanted to go lighthearted and like, you know, joke around, but I'll go a little more serious. This really, really, really pains me, but I am going to give Sister Julienne my zero this week because I understand her moral hesitation about the pill, but I'm sorry, like she sees the fallout of like unplanned and unwanted pregnancies every single day. And like, this is an opportunity for those to like either decrease or not happen at all. And I get that she's in a tough spot, but I gotta give her a zero. Like she's, you know, she needs to do some soul searching. And then I will give my hero to, you know what? I'll give my hero to Dr. Turner and the contraceptive pill, because you know what? Women deserve the right to control their own reproductive health. And this was a step forward for it. And Dr. Turner was a big proponent of it. And that's awesome. And, you know, having this kind of freedom, I think is really important. And so hero. There you go. Those are my two.
Love it.
But also, I did love how Phyllis hooked up in the war with like a hot army sergeant or whatever. And I also think Tom was like rude for like, like going after Barbara like hardcore when they were alone together, and then being like a weird prude during that like sex meeting, and then also not knowing that women menstruate, and then Barbara having to like call him out.
Cream on the
what I mean?
wall and for her to deal with it.
Yeah, like come on, man, like go get some like spick and span or whatever and like clean that stuff. Like gee whiz.
Mr. Muscle. Anyway.
Yeah, and then even after they got into a fight, she was like, okay, well, she's like, I gotta go deliver this baby. He's like, well, can I have a kiss? And she was like, oh Lord, you can never quit. Come on. Anyways.
Okay, so I've got some messages for us off social media.
Ooh.
So thank you to everyone who messaged in to us on Instagram, Twitter. We've now got a Threads and Facebook.
You did Threads. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, look at us. We're with the trends.
Whoa.
Well, we're not with the trends because I'm, just said we're with the trends. Anyway. So Barbara Lim on Facebook. Now this is an ace one. So this is what she said. She said, hello, ladies. I was so interested to meet a young lady at church this morning. She usually goes to our evening service. She'd been in touch with me some weeks ago, but hadn't been able to attend an event I was running. During our chat today, she told me she was a midwife, and of course, we spoke about our favourite programme. I told her about you. I hope she gets to listen. So look at Barbara Lim, just, going out and getting us some listeners. Love it.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah. So on Instagram, I did a thing on social media about the new episode is out. Did it this morning. And Suzetera, I can't say the names right here. She put, yes, I've been waiting for you to cover this episode specifically. Love, love, love the pod.
Oh,
thank you.
Kathy Flo on Instagram says, I hope you never stop producing this wonderful series. Thank you. Pretty sure she's talking about Call The Midwife there, but still.
Midwife, yeah.
Well, listen, we have a symbiotic relationship. As long as the show exists, we exist. So
exactly.
Yes,
now this one is from, I'm going to see Diassi. They're all names are weird on Instagram. You never know who's who.
Oh yeah, everyone's got us.
This is obviously up to me. You guys are so funny. I love when you get off on tangents about what is different between the US and England. Peanut butter and jelly is yummy, lol. And I've said, well, me and Bex will try it on the next listener's special. So I've roped you in there, Bex.
I'll have a peanut butter and jelly on the listener special too, just for fun, because I love peanut butter and jelly.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Someone else here says, hello, I'm Amanda. I'm a big fan of your podcast, also a big fan of the show. I've watched the seasons multiple times. Same, girl. Same, Amanda.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Now, someone here, I think we might know them. I think it might be your mum, Jen. She says, the best Call The Midwife podcast.
Low-key our like biggest fans right there.
So someone here called Goddess McG, still loving the podcast and definitely looking forward to your take on the Turner family camping trip. Love it, love it, love it. We've had so much love. Thank you so much, everyone. Someone here, Pink Kitty Kels 85, says new to your podcast and loving it, ladies. I just loved it. Honestly, I'm just loving this. So now another one. So there's a few more. Another one here called Becky, and this one's on Twitter. Says, so she listened to the one from not this week, the week before, and she said, brilliant conversations about time gone by and midwifery. My nan's nephew has Down syndrome, and they said not to worry, they will sort it, leave it by the window. She threatened to break their legs if they touched the hair on his head. He is now in his 60s, so thank God for you, Grandma.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, I know.
And you're right. Thank God for that mom who was
exactly.
So
right, yeah. Julie Coates, long-time collaborator, a long-time listener.
Oh, Julie,
fan, we love you. So she says, I agree with your hate of camping. When I was a teenager, our church group went camping every summer. My sleeping bag always ended up on top of a tree root, but I love peanut butter. Jen has mentioned she grew up near Boston, Massachusetts. I did too. Has she ever had the state sandwich, a fluffernutter?
I have had a fluffernutter. Julie, oh my God, Julie, you and I
What's
are really...
What's a fluffernutter?
Oh, okay. So fluffernutter is usually, I mean, the way I think about it, the most classic is like really like Wonder Bread, like white bread, and then you do a nice thick layer of peanut butter and then marshmallow fluff. Do you guys know what marshmallow fluff is?
Oh no, not into that.
And it's so freaking delicious. I'm sorry, but oh my God. I mean, it's like now it's sweet. It's sweet for sure, but fluffernutter, yeah. I mean, I think you either that one I could see you more like if you're not into it or whatever, but oh man, I love fluffernutters. I don't think I've had one in solidly decades, but Julie.
Well, we've got another one. I had someone else before say that they absolutely hate peanut butter and it makes them feel sick for the thought of it.
I mean, okay, sure.
Well, she used to work in food as well. I'm trying to find the message, but she used to work in like food, and she was like, I used to say I was allergic to it. We've got another one here. So Julie
Yeah.
Sheridan on Instagram says that she's moved to Germany last year, and she was in the middle of Call the Midwife on Netflix from Ireland, and she can't get it over there, so she's trying to find it. But she's absolutely loving our podcast. She's only just discovered it, but she said your podcast is just great. Thank you, Julie Sheridan.
Oh,
We
thank
think you're
you.
just great.
Yeah.
The last one I wanted to talk about here is, do you remember last week where it was Serene Leeds Wright who'd interviewed them, and she
Yes.
had her
Oh.
podcast "Emotional Abuse is Real"?
Yes.
I've listened to it. It's great. It's really good. So basically, it's just her talking to people who have gone through emotional abuse and their story and how it is they're getting their stories out there. And it was amazing. So recommend, everyone.
Well, girls, I mean, you two know this, our listeners don't know this, but just to say, I had a very stressful week. There's a lot of stuff kind of going on in my personal life. Nothing bad, everything's fine, but just a lot going on last week. So I do have it on my list to listen to that podcast, and I appreciate that reminder because I definitely want to get there. So I'm now even more excited.
Yeah, well, this is a recommended one from Recall the Midwife. It's a Recall the Midwife recommended product.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you to everyone who messaged in. We always try and read them all. There's some I've got ready for next week as well. So thank you so much. We love it. All interaction is amazing. Follow us, rate us, subscribe, like us. It's all very, very welcome.
Oh, well, I'll say this. I know Bex and I are not as good with social media. We try to catch as many as we can, but Alex definitely literally reads every single one, and she always is really good to like try to make sure that like we see them as well. And then I know we go in the email and on the Instagram and look too, but like you guys are just amazing. Listeners, you guys are just amazing. Also, I love just like the funny things people say and like the questions they ask and like the opinions they give. Like the lady who was just like, "Yep, I also hate camping. Okay, bye." I love it.
True though. I hate camping. Yeah.
I don't like camping either.
Next week we are watching series 5, episode 8.
Yeah.
Yes. This is the last one before the Christmas special, is that right?
Yes. So if you want to listen along with us, watch it first. It makes it so you understand what we're going on about. And then
it really does help.
Listen along with us. That would be fantastic. And if you have any questions for us or anything you want us to talk about or anything at all, send it in to us. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, YouTube, Facebook. There's loads of different Facebook groups out there that we're members of as well. So just drop us a line.
We've got the email. You can leave a review on Apple Podcasts or any podcast platform.
Yeah,
that you listen.
So hopefully we'll see you next week, or you'll hear us.
Yeah, definitely. One of the two of those things will happen.
Yeah. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.